The wait is over. What started as the next step in Zain Bando's sports media journey has officially evolved. We are live on the Empty the Bench Network. This is the home for unfiltered, unapologetic takes on combat sports, college athletics, and everything else in between. Welcome to Bando's Breakdowns, the show where the wheelchair is just a footnote and the sports takes are unmissable. And now, here's your host, Zain Bando.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is the Bando's Breakdown, episode 104. My name is Zain Bando. Thank you so much for joining me on this Thursday afternoon tomorrow. So what we're going to turn these days out. Hope you all are doing phenomenal on this fine Thursday. It's Thursday, August 27th, 2026. We're very close to the start of September and up to the start of the NFL season. And of course, the start of college football season as well, which officially kicks off today if you're a degenerate. It really kicks off on Saturday, of course, with a lot of marquee action across the country. But nonetheless, though, it's great to hear from you guys today. It's great to be able to converse with you guys today on a huge episode for the show. Again, the final episode in the month of August. A few quick reminders before we get started with today's stream. Without further ado, please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. To do so, please go to youtube.com/EDB Network. We're slowly but surely approaching the 4,000 watch hour goal. So keep watching, keep streaming, keep liking, keep sharing, all that stuff. And what I mean by streaming is keep watching our live streams when they happen. That way you guys can get accustomed to the cadence of all the different shows. You can follow the show on social media at Bando's Breakdown. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention as well, you can also check out the full playlist of every single episode of Bando's Breakdowns, as well as every episode of Zan Zinger Part 2. We will be back this Sunday with another edition of Zan Zinger. Pretty sure we're up to about 55-ish episodes of that streaming series unofficially. So shout out to all you guys who tune into that every Sunday. I recap what happened on Saturdays. That's going to be continuous, and those are going to be an hour moving forward, as Will Charlton will be joining me beginning with the college football season. Likely week 1. There's a chance he might join week 0, but if not, week 1 will be the target for those hour-long streams. We tried an hour last week, and we fitted a lot in, rather, so we're going to do the same once again this week as well. And of course, my name is Zain Bando. I'm a sports journalist and an ETB Network co-host. You can find my work several places, including MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated, Field Level Media, Ohio State on Sports Illustrated, as well as the Sporting News and the soon-to-be brand new website, which will be Everything Me. It'll be a place where you can pitch me. It'll be where some independent work will go as well. We may try some different things with it in terms of like a newsletter and that sort of thing, just because I know where the media industry is headed in that regard. So we're going to try something new this fall. It's probably about 7 to 8 or so weeks away from a full launch. So excited to talk about that more. It's going to be separate from anything I do currently, but just figured I would have another medium where if you guys just want me and me only, you can get that for sure. So excited to get into that more as the time comes, but nonetheless, let's get into the show now if we can. What we're going to be discussing today, beginning with Zan's overview, as always, a lot to get to in today's episode. College football, both in just the week 0 realm as well as the Big Ten realm as well. It's all very interesting stuff on both fronts because there's going to be more to talk about with the Big Ten, obviously, with USC being the only team playing this week from the Big Ten. The rest of it is other out-of-conference action. So figured we would go through all of that as well. Excited to get into that a little bit more. We'll get into UFC Shanghai this Saturday, which is an early start time as well, and a pretty good card. We'll get into Dana White Contender Series. There's more action there as well. We'll talk about the Bears. We will talk about some other things. I think we have a story related to sports media. We've got a boxing story in today as well. So a lot to get into. Let's start, though, with week 0 in college football. It's a pretty big start to the season, obviously. Week 0, of course, is a sacred pastime. A lot of people wait all year to check out week 0, what's to come of it, some of the matchups. So let's get into the big storylines going into this week as well. We'll go over some of the games. And in fact, if you want picks and predictions from those, you can check out the newest edition of Forever Power 5 with myself and James Myers. It was the first episode of season 3, dropped late last night as a live stream as well. He's the new co-host of Forever Power 5. Shout out to James for joining the network, and it should be a fun year. Very much looking forward to seeing what's going on with that show, how that show is going to change. It's now a 2-person show, so figured we would go into that a little bit more, and we do go into all those games on that stream. So check it out if you guys haven't done so already. It's a really fun time. I enjoyed it as well, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. So let's get into week 0 of college football, though. I don't want to waste any more time. According to CBS Sports' Cody Nagel, he reviewed every week 0 game on the schedule. He ranked North Carolina and TCU, of course, as number 1, which makes a lot of sense given the storylines that are going into it. This is a Josh Hooverless TCU team taking on a revamped Bill Belichick-led North Carolina team that's had a tumultuous offseason. As it states, UNC arrives in Dublin with plenty of noise surrounding the program for Michael Lombardi's paid administrative leave following a pending HR investigation to defensive coordinator Steve Belichick's medical leave. And if you've heard Steve Belichick's name before, that's because he, of course, is Bill Belichick's son. TCU dealt with some turbulence of its own, dismissing projected starting safety Jacob Fields last week after an alleged altercation with a teammate, which there's a bit more to the story than that. But Harvard transfer quarterback Jaden Craig, who drew interest from NFL scouts last summer, gets his shot to show what he can do at TCU. That's solid. It should make for a pretty interesting kickoff. I like TCU to cover this number. I think there's too much baggage around North Carolina for me to justify picking them at the moment. I just think there's too many question marks surrounding Bill Belichick, that whole regime, who North Carolina returns, who they're bringing in. I just think there's too many question marks at most. The North Carolina schedule also is very difficult. This is not an easy game. TCU plays in a very, very challenging Big 12 this season, so I really like TCU to get a huge non-conference win in Dublin in a de facto neutral site game, if you will. It should be very exciting to see how all of this transpires in Dublin. That's the first game of the day. That's noon Eastern on ESPN in the standalone noon Eastern window. The only game that will be on Saturday as well. So stay tuned for much more on this to come. You actually will see this game picked on Bando's Blitz, which comes out Saturday morning. So stay tuned for more. I'll give my final pick. But right now, as of Thursday afternoon, love TCU to cover this number as well. It's kind of a decently sized number. Let's take a look at that number really, really quick before we continue on here, because I want to make sure that it hasn't changed since last night, and I believe it hasn't, but we'll go in and we'll check right now. According to ESPN, the number has not changed. TCU minus 9.5 with the over-under at 46.5. So we like the number where it is. We will take TCU with that number if we were to bet the game, and there you go. So let's move on now to more rankings from CBS Sports regarding all these games. NC State versus Virginia is the number 2 game of the week, according to CBS Sports. This game was supposed to be in Brazil, but the game will be taking place stateside at Virginia, 3:30 Eastern, ESPN on Saturday. Huge, huge game for both sides. Virginia, obviously a huge, huge turnaround under Tony Elliott a year ago. Virginia coming off of an 11-win season in a huge breakthrough. Is it too good to be true? That remains to be seen. I really don't love this game either way. If I were to pick a side, though, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I like NC State, but I could see Virginia winning this game as well. Then we get into the weeds with the number 3 game on the CBS Sports list, Jacksonville State, North Dakota State. I really like Jacksonville State here just because they played well the last couple of years in games they shouldn't. I go back to that game. I understand it was 5-6 years ago now against Florida State where they won on that Hail Mary. It's not the same magic as that, but I do think sometimes these early season games are good for some of these teams as well. So who knows? As CBS Sports indicates, though, which is very interesting, the Bison entered this season, meaning North Dakota State, entered the season tied for the 8th best odds among group of 6 teams at plus 1,500 to make the college football playoff. I don't know if I would go that far, as I've already revealed my final 4, and my final 4 for the college football playoff, in fact, is very cut and dry. And in fact, in case you know me well, you know I have 2 Big Ten teams in the final 4. Those are Oregon and Ohio State. So even if a group of 5, group of 6 team, whatever you want to call it, makes the field, I don't think they'll be going all that far. So there's that as well. Nonetheless, though, Jacksonville State, meanwhile, gets an opportunity to spoil the party. The Gamecocks made the jump from FCS 4 years ago, and obviously this could make North Dakota State's FBS debut, as CBS Sports puts it, a little bit more complicated. And what my co-host James Myers called the best game in Week 0 is a nightcap game between Memphis and the UNLV Running Rebels. And as it says here, a pretty good way to wind down the first Saturday of the season. Memphis and UNLV are 2 more group of 6 teams with legitimate college football playoff aspirations. Jackson Arnold is battling Alex Orji for the starting job at UNLV. We don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. Memphis is a new coach in Charles Huff. He's had previous stops at Marshall in southern Mississippi, so a lot of question marks there. Moving right along, though, Hawaii and Stanford, 7 p.m. Eastern start on the ACC network. Stanford is the host there. Obviously, the game was better when it was played in Honolulu the last 2 meetings, but would set up for a late summer trip to Palo Alto. Hawaii opened last season with a walk-off field goal to beat Stanford for the first time, which I did stay up to watch that game as well, with Micah Elijah throwing 2 touchdown passes to his Mountain West freshman, or to jumpstart his Mountain West freshman of the year campaign. He enters 2026 as one of the best group of 6 quarterbacks in the nation. And then looking over the other side, Tavita Pritchard. Stanford hasn't had a winning season since 2018, which remains difficult to believe, considering the Cardinal were the 4th winningest program in the country from 2010 to 16 under Jim Harbaugh and David Shaw. We shall see how Tavita Pritchard does as the Cardinals' new head coach. All right, moving down the list and getting towards the end of this thing, New Mexico and Florida State, one of the biggest hot seats in college football. It's an obvious one. Mike Norvell for the Seminoles. This shouldn't be much of a test for Florida State. The Seminoles don't have much time to figure things out either, as number 19 SMU and Alabama are up next after this game, as they are a 30.5-point favorite. And then looking down in the barrel at the bottom of this now, we skipped over a game to get to this one. San Jose State versus USC. Big spot here for USC, the only ranked team playing during this slate. USC, a 38.5-point favorite at FanDuel. What are they according to DraftKings? Let's take a quick gander over this here. USC is favored by 38.5, so not far off from, actually, it's identical to what FanDuel has them at too. So that also makes it easier. Jaden Mayava, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the nation, and I can tell you, because I asked him a question during his Big Ten Media Day scrum, I can tell you he is fired up to return this year to Hollywood. He knows what the schedule brings for USC, and he's very, very excited to see what this team can do, given that they do have playoff aspirations. They should be able to trounce San Jose State. So that's a little bit of a flavor that you will see in week 0 this weekend. Speaking of predictions, though, let's go over and talk about some Big Ten football. CBS Sports did put out an article as of recently, bold predictions across the Big Ten. Let's review some of these and see if I agree or disagree with what the analysts have to say regarding not just some of these predictions, but also order of finish. So let's take a look here as well. This is the annual piece from Tom Fornelli where he gets together with his co-workers, if you will, and they put together this beast of an article. So a bunch of the overrated teams that they have on this list, which are very interesting. They've got Iowa on here, which is interesting. They've got Michigan on here, which I could easily see. USC is on here too, because you don't know if Lincoln Riley is going to fold in November or not. Penn State, potentially too many question marks with a new team. Most underrated team, Penn State does kind of fall into this category because, again, you don't know. Maryland as well. Washington is a sleeper as well. UCLA, they could see a big turnaround. Minnesota, which I don't know if I fully agree with. Minnesota really doesn't win the signature games unless you want to count a couple years ago when it beat Illinois. Some bold predictions. Let's take a look at some of these here, which I love. This one from Richard Johnson. He says, USC and Ohio State deliver on the promise of the Big Ten experiment that blew the sport up, which was a conference that spanned from sea to shining sea with a second strong team on the West Coast, besides Oregon giving the Midwestern incumbents a run for their money in the conference and the CFP race. Brad Crawford, preseason number 1 Ohio State, enters the CFP as a number 8 seed with 3 losses coming to Texas, Indiana, and Oregon, which, by the way, I've seen a lot of people say that if Ohio State loses 3 games, and these are the exact 3 losses because of, the quality of their schedule, that they could still get in. That's not out of the realm of possibility, but obviously they haven't even played a game yet. They opened the year with Ball State, which they should win by 40, but nonetheless, who knows? All right, let's take a look at the order of finishes. I'm a little biased. I like Tom Fornelli's order to finish a lot. He's got Illinois coming in at number 8, just behind Washington. His top 5, Penn State, USC, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. Chip Patterson's got Indiana. Not sure if I love it. Brandon Marcello's got Oregon. I really like that. John Talty has Ohio State winning the conference. And Richard Johnson's got Oregon. Not a lot of Indiana believers. Some of Indiana is far down as number 3. We'll see what happens. But there seems to be a general consensus. Well, I don't love this. I don't love this at all. Let's take a look at who has this here. Brandon Marcello really underestimating Illinois. I don't love Illinois where he has them at 13. I don't think there's as huge of a fall off as what people might be predicting from this Illinois team, even though there are some question marks given that they lost so many pieces. That's another story for another day. I've already given you my record prediction for my alma mater, but nonetheless, this article is very interesting. It's a PP article. Figured we'd go through some of those in due course, obviously. Let's move over now from college football to combat sports. Dana White Contender Series Week 3 is in the books, and it was a massive, massive night for the Contender Series. A lot of exciting prospects added to the roster. They're now up to 15 signed fighters, including the craziest one, Alex Abadaka, winning the biggest upset in not just Dana White Contender Series history, but in UFC history, beating UFC heavyweight legacy, if you will, in Frank Mir's daughter, Bella Mir, by decision in a huge, huge upset, using her wrestling elbows and pace to stifle Mir and give her first MMA loss, one of the biggest upsets I have ever seen in my life. Dana White openly admitted that he was biased going into this fight. He had no idea what to think of Alex Abadaka going in and doing what she did, but overall, he was very impressed to see that she was able to just block out all the noise, fight her fight, and really do what she was supposed to do in order to win impressively at the Apex. Let's take a look at some of the other contract winners as well, if we can. There are 337 all-time contracts handed out since the show's inception a decade ago. Let's take a look at who else was signed on this as well. There was nobody that Dana didn't sign, but he loves this class. Nick Alante at middleweight, Ronald Humphrey, who I think Dana was the most impressed with outside of Alex Apodaca. Sean Clancy Jr., which if you know and you're in the MMA sphere and you like regional MMA, he's been a name that's been around for a while. Gurim Urel at heavyweight, dominant win for him, even though it was really short. And then obviously the aforementioned Apodaca. I went 3-2 on this card to get to 9-6 overall for the season thus far. We still have 7 more weeks to go. And you're going to get some rumblings here later in the season to see what might happen. You may see some returnees from the first couple weeks try to get their second shots at this thing, which is a relatively new occurrence in the last couple of years. Sometimes the UFC, if you are healthy, they will give a fighter a second chance, during the season to see if they still have it, if they can still make it to the UFC. So it isn't as one-shot heavy as it was in previous years, but it still is a very, very good product. Stay tuned for week number 4 next Tuesday, once again, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern as well. It's, to me, one of the best shows on TV. Combat sports or not, absolute pleasure to watch the next generation of MMA talent compete in what went from being a very, what do you want to call it? Intimate setting to one of the settings to where, you have fans in the building now. There's about 1,000 people in the building. So it's really cool to see. And I'm loving the product as it is at the moment. And it's just a phenomenal place to be able to watch fights. I went to the old version of the Apex as well. So much to be excited about. So much more to look forward to as we get into week 4 and beyond, beginning next week as well. Moving right along now to talk about this weekend's fights, UFC Shanghai. This weekend, the annual stop in Shanghai, China. It's late August, so you know what that means. It's become a tradition at this point. Let's take a look at the card. It's a 3 a.m. Eastern start for the prelims, so an early wake up for those of us in the United States of America. It will still be on Paramount Plus. It will still be time coded that if you miss any of the event, you can watch it. But let's focus on the main event of the evening. Huge spot in the bantamweight division, and it tops a 13-fight card as well. And I'm pretty sure, let's make sure, from Shanghai Indoor Stadium, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. Umar Nurmagomedov 20-1 versus Song Yadong at 23-9-1 as well. Let's take a look at Umar Nurmagomedov's resume. And just a spoiler alert, I am picking him to win this fight. He is 8-1 in the UFC. He's won 2 in a row since his loss to Merab Dvalishvili, which was last January. Those 2 wins have been to Mario Batista and, of course, former UFC champion Davison Figueiredo as well. That was by unanimous decision back in January. Batista was also by decision. You have to go all the way back to January of 2023 to find Nurmagomedov's last finish as he knocked out Hani Barcelos in the first round at 440 with a left hook. So it's been a while. He will use his wrestling to neutralize Song Yadong, but Song Yadong's pace is awesome. If Song Yadong keeps this thing on the feet, this fight is very interesting. Let's take a look at Song Yadong as well. 23-9 overall, 23-9-1 to be exact in MMA, 12-4 in the UFC. He has split his last 4 fights. His last win was against fellow common opponent Davison Figueiredo. That was back in May. A pretty nice win for Song Yadong. And his other win was against former champion Henry Cejudo, as anticlimactic as that may have seemed. But nonetheless, we really do like Nurmagomedov by decision. I do think his wrestling will just be too much for Yadong to handle. And I think it's one of those fights that, it's one of those fights where you can chalk it down as a pretty easy fight to pick. Although, again, if Song Yadong makes it interesting, keeps it on the feet, and stuffs a bunch of Nurmagomedov takedowns, you could get a pretty interesting upset. So you might as well check it out, see what happens. Again, early start, but by the time the main event starts, it'll be nice and early in the morning, so you'll still be able to watch everything that transpires, at least throughout the night. All right, let's go into a brief UFC Sacramento recap. We've already kind of recapped this card, but just wanted to give you the numbers and the particulars. We went 8-5 on this card. We did lose the main event of the evening, which obviously was Anthony Hernandez versus RoboCop. We took Hernandez. Obviously, RoboCop won this fight. So there's that. And we are 14-14, on UFC events to this point regarding main events. We're trying to do better in that category, but a huge win for Rodriguez keeps him in the middleweight title picture. And again, we will take another winning record on UFC. Let's hope to keep it going on Saturday. Shifting over now to some boxing, we've got Chantelle Cameron versus Mikaela Mayer, or obviously, of course, the inverse of that, because Mayer leads. But nonetheless, though, it's MVPW as well. Let's take a look at the card itself. I'm really excited for this card because it's a daytime card. So right after you watch UFC, you can hang out and watch MVPW as well. And it's part of a stacked day of boxing. It's a US-UK theme. So if you like that sort of thing and want to take all the bragging rights and root for all the Americans, you sure can. And we've got Mikaela Mayer coming into this fight 22-2 with 5 knockouts versus Chantelle Cameron coming into this fight 22-1 with 8 knockouts. Number 7 versus number 5, pound for pound. I like Mikaela Mayer to get it done. I just think his range, or her range rather, in her boxing would just be a little bit too much for Cameron to defend. I think Cameron will have to get an early stoppage to win this fight as well. And I do think it will live up to the hype, but I just think that Mayer's a little bit stronger. Once again, 22-2 with 5 KOs versus 22-1 with 8 KOs. It's a 10-round super welterweight bout. Mikaela Mayer defending her WBA and WBC titles. How do you watch this card? Well, it is live from the United Kingdom at BP Pulse Live. In Birmingham, you can watch the fights in the United States on ESPN Plus, where you can watch the fights in the UK on Sky Sports. The main card begins at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the undercard begins at noon Eastern for those of us in the United States. All right, rounding out the show, one thing that I saw, the NFL wants to keep the Bears in Chicago, which is phenomenal. Roger Goodell, there's been reports surfacing that he wants to keep the Bears in Chicago, and I just want to give my 2 cents on this. The Bears have to stay in Chicago, and I'm going to explain why. It's not like the Jets or the Giants, being East Rutherford. I really don't believe that. I thought that that's what it was, and I thought I'd be okay with it, but now I'm realizing that I'm not. I'm not, because the Bears to me have always been a football team in a city that's rich in tradition, which I agree with. I think them being taken out of what their identity already is regarding the Bears is a really bad idea. I think it could set some fans off. I think it ruins the season ticket holder experience. The season ticket holder experience is partially ruined across the NFL. We actually have a comment in here. And yeah, Christy is right. The Bears are Chicago, quite literally. I do agree with that. So that just furthers my point that if the Bears are Chicago and the fans love the Bears, that's what it should always be. That's what it's always been. And hopefully the NFL can figure this out, because I just don't know if they'll translate in the same way in Indiana as they do in Chicago. I just really don't see it, although it would take 7 or 8 years to really fully finalize this. But we shall see what transpires. I'm excited to see if the NFL can pull through and make this a reality. Final topic, Zain Zinger, Golden Boy Promotions is back. There was a major announcement today about this October 10th Wintrust Arena Championship doubleheader. Let's read the press release that I got earlier today. Huge stuff from Golden Boy. Really excited because Golden Boy has not returned to Chicago in about a year, but it's the first time that they're going to Wintrust Arena in a really long time. So let's take a look at this. We've got Floyd Schofield III and Lucas Body or Batty, I think is how you pronounce it. They will be fighting for the WBA World Lightweight title. Let's take a look at some quotes here, starting with Floyd. There's been enough talk outside the ring, and now I'm ready to let my fist do the talking. I worked my whole life for an opportunity like this, and I'm just one fight away from accomplishing my dream of becoming a world champion. I know Lucas is coming to fight and will bring his best, but I'm prepared for whatever he brings. On October 10th, it's time to settle everything inside the ring and show the world that I belong at the top of the lightweight division. I'm coming to put on a show and leave Chicago a world champion. Lucas said, I've been waiting to fight for a world title since the first time I wasted a pair of gloves. I'm extremely appreciative of this opportunity and can't wait for Saturday, October 10th in Chicago. I'm so excited for this. It's part of the DAZN Saturday night fight night series. I am doing all I can to be there. I'm hoping to be there in some capacity, whether as a media member or as obviously a fan. So we shall see what transpires there. Very excited to talk about it all. But let's move over here and take care of another comment. I hope the Bears stay in Chicago, coming from someone who lost his NFL team in the San Diego Chargers to LA. Shout out to you, Callan, for mentioning that as well. And then this, according to Ghost, he goes, sometimes I draw a little face on my hand and let my fist do the talking. I call him Gary the Glove, and he's dope. That Ghost is actually quite funny. Keep commenting those jokes. You can consider that one that I laughed at. So I appreciate you for chiming in. But nonetheless, though, that will do it for another edition of Bando's Breakdowns. Oh, wait, we have another comment in here. Is DAZN worth the price? I might need to purchase it for the sake of local TV for the Clippers and the Ducks. Yes, it is absolutely worth the price. You get everything and more in terms of sports, regarding content, and regarding if you know a few workarounds, you might be able to get more depending on what package you get. But certainly for someone who's a hardcore fight fan like myself, the DAZN Ultimate package is the way to go. Another comment from Ghost. I got that covered, Bando. Chuckle, going to be a great day. Yeah, absolutely. Hope it is a good rest of your day as well, Ghost, too. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. But yeah, that'll finally do it, though, for Bando's Breakdowns. Before we get out of here, though, I wanted to go through a few quick programming notes if we could. For a programming note next week, Bando's Breakdowns episode 105 will be live on Friday, September 4th, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. It's our back to football week over here at the network, so it made sense for me to still preview week 1. I will be at Illinois UAB the night before. Very much looking forward to it. We'll talk about that game, what Brett Bielema said afterward, as well as what the players said, and so much more. So stay tuned for that. Friday, September 4th, episode 105. You won't want to miss it. And then obviously Zan Zinger will be back this Sunday. You can catch Sunday's episode and or any Monday episode or replay on X and YouTube. More details to come there about that as well. Before we get out of here, I'd like to shout out a few notes. So without further ado, here we go. The Empty the Bench Podcast Network is pleased to announce that the network has surpassed 3,000 watch hours on YouTube, and we cannot thank you, the viewers, for your outstanding support in making this milestone possible. Thanks to viewers like you. In the coming days and in the next couple of weeks, we will be rolling out all the details about our super chats, super stickers, super thanks, channel membership tiers, perks, merch store, and so much more. We thank you again for your support of ETB network programming, and I would be remiss if I didn't plug this as well, as we're getting so close to football season. All right, ditch the traditional broadcast desk and fire up the grill. It's time to tailgate, ditch your dad's boring old school pregame show and get walked in with Gridiron Gurus on the ETB network, showing Grant Winsauer, Ben Cruz, and Michael Rapolo every Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, for the ultimate Sunday morning kickoff tailgate. Grant, Ben, and Michael give you everything you need in the final hour before kickoff, last minute fantasy start advice, sharp betting lines, and crucial weather conditions and real-time injury news that can make or break your Sunday slate. And I meant to say make or break, but nonetheless, you get the idea. Don't set your lineups or locks or bets on autopilot. Join the tailgate, get the edge, and win your Sunday. Catch Gridiron Gurus every Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on the ETB network. And without further ado, let's take care of a few final reminders alongside network stuff as well. So, Please be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Follow the show on social media at Bando's Breakdown. Subscribe to the channel today. YouTube.com/ETB Network. Very important that you guys do this as we're slowly but surely approaching 40,000 watch hours, which means more and more goals are on the horizon to potentially come as well. And yes, PBS thanks you 100%, Nick. You are absolutely right. But nonetheless, and continuing with some minor reminders as well. And as I said at the beginning of the stream, you can check out the full playlist of Bando's Breakdowns or Zanzinger Part 2 today. I think that will do it for another edition of Bando's Breakdowns. This edition was for Thursday, August 27th, 2026. I thank you so much for tuning in once again. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. And I look forward to chatting with you guys next week. It's going to be a great time. Have a good weekend. Enjoy week 0 in college football and so much more. And stay tuned for all the programming that is to come. Until next time, we'll catch you guys later. Have a good one, everyone. Thanks.